care that both of us are absolutely blind.
Then turn us round and leave with all convenient dispatch. We'll undertake to marry any two of you we catch.
We'll undertake to marry any two of us they catch.
Surely they deserve a meeting as new, but she's made a smoking corner, so
sunny Spanish shore, the Duke of Plaza Tor.
But his grace's Duchess too,
And his grace's daughter too.
and his grace's private drum to Venetian shores have come, to Venetian shores have come.
They will never make it back to Spain. They will never, never, never see again. They will never, 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 never see again.
Neither that grandee from the Spanish shore, the noble Duke of Plaza Tor,
Nor his grace's Duchess staunch and true,
Will be and his grace's daughter too.
nor his grace's own particular drum to Venetian shores will come, to Venetian shores will come.
Back to Spain. They will never, never, never see again. They will never, 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 never see again.
At last we have arrived at our destination. This is the Ducal Palace, and it is here that the Grand Inquisitor resides. As a Castilian hidalgo of 95 quarterings, I regret that I am unable to pay my state visit on a horse. As a Castilian hidalgo of that description, I should have preferred to ride through the streets of Venice. But owing, I presume, to an unusually wet season, the streets are in such a condition that equestrian exercise is impracticable. No matter. Where is our suite?
Your Grace, I am here.
Why do you not do yourself the honor to kneel when you address his grace?
Oh, my love, it is so small a matter. Still, you may as well do it.
The young man seems to entertain but an imperfect appreciation of the respect due from a menial to a Castilian hidalgo.
My love, you are hard upon our suite.
Papa, I've no patience with the presumptions of persons in his plebeian position. If he does not appreciate that position, let him be whipped until he does.
Well, let us hope that omission was not intended as a slight. I should be very much hurt if I thought it was, and so would he. Now, where are the halberdiers who were to have had the honor of meeting us here today, that our visit to the Grand Inquisitor might be made in becoming state?
Your Grace, the halberdiers are mercenary people who stipulated for a trifle on account.
How tiresome! Well, let us hope that the Grand Inquisitor is a blind gentleman. And the band, who were to have had the honor of escorting us. I see no band.
Your Grace, the band are sordid persons, required to be paid in advance.
That's so like a band.
Insuperable difficulties meet me at every turn.
But surely they know his grace.
Precisely. They know His Grace.
Well, let us hope that the Grand Inquisitor is a deaf gentleman. I mean, a cornet a pistol would be something. You do not happen to possess the accomplishment of tootling like a cornet a pistol.
Alas, no, Your Grace. But I can imitate a farmyard.
Oh, I don't see how that would help us. I don't see how we could bring it in.
It wouldn't help us in the least. We are not a parcel of graziers gone to market. Don't.
My child, our ordeal.
Your Grace has but to command.
I felt sure of it. I felt sure of it. And now, my love, allow me to tell you of a secret. A secret which should make you the happiest young lady in Venice.
A secret?
A secret which, for state reasons, it has been necessary to preserve for 20 years.
When you were a prattling babe of 6 months old, you were married by proxy to no less a personage than the infant son and heir of His Majesty, the immeasurably wealthy King of Barataria.
Married to the infant son of the King of Barataria? Was I consulted? Then it was a most unpardonable liberty.
You must excuse him, forgive and forgive him. Shortly after the ceremony, that misguided monarch abandoned the creed of his forefathers and became a Wesleyan Methodist of the most bigoted and persecuting type. The Grand Inquisitor, determined that this innovation should not be perpetuated in Venice, caused your smiling and infant husband to be stolen and conveyed to Venice. A fortnight since, that Methodist monarch and all his Wesleyan band were killed in an insurrection, and we are here today to find the whereabouts of your husband and to hail you, our daughter, as Her Majesty, the reigning Queen of Barataria.
Your Majesty.
At such moments as these that one feels how necessary it is to travel with a full band.
I? Queen of Barataria? But I've nothing to wear. We are practically penniless.
Well, that does not excuse me. Although I am in straitened circumstances at present, my social influence is something enormous, and a company to be called the Duke of Plaza Toro Limited.com #DOPT is in formation to work with. An influential directorate has been secured, and I shall myself join the board after allotment.
Am I to understand that the Queen of Barataria may be called upon at any time to witness her honoured sire in a process of liquidation?
The speculation is not exempt from that drawback. If your father should stop, it will of course be necessary to wind him up.
But it's so undignified, it's so degrading. A grandiose fame turned into a public company. Such a thing was never heard of.
No. The Duke of Plaza Toro does not follow fashions. He leads them. He always leads everybody. When he was in the army, he led his regiment. He occasionally led them into action. He invariably led them out of it. In enterprise of martial kind, when there was any fighting, he led his regiment from behind. He found it less exciting. But when away his regiment ran, his place was at the Foro. The celebrated, cultivated, underrated nobleman, the Duke of Plaza Toro. In the first and foremost night, he always found the night. That celebrated, cultivated, underrated nobleman, the Duke of Plaza Toro. When to invade destruction's hand, to hide they all proceeded. No soldier in that gallant band in offers well as he did. He lay concealed throughout the war and so preserved his Foro. That unaffected, undetected, well-connected warrior, the Duke of Plaza Toro. In every daunting deed, he always struck the lead. That unaffected, undetected, well-connected warrior, the Duke of Plaza Toro. When told that they would all be shot unless they left the service, that hero hesitated not, so marvelous his nervies. He sent his resignation in, the first of all
instruct you to do?
Nothing, I trust, that will ever have cause to regret.
Nay, Louis, it may not be. I've embraced you for the last time.
Oh, Casilda!
I have just learned, to my surprise and indignation, that I was wed in babyhood to the infant son of the king of Barataria.
The infant son of the king of Terrier. The child was stolen in infancy by the Inquisition.
The same, but of course you know his story.
Know his story? Why, I've often told you that my mother was the very nurse to whose care he was entrusted.
Oh, true, I had forgotten. Well, he is discovered, and my father has brought me here to claim his hand.
But you will not recognize this marriage. Why, you were too young to understand its import.
Nay, Louis, respect my principles and cease to torture me with vain entreaties. Henceforth, my life is another's.
But stay, the present and the future, well, they are another's. But the past, that alone is ours, and none may take that from us, as we may revel in naught else. Let us revel in that.
I don't quite grasp your meaning.
It is simple enough. You say you do not love me.
I say I may not love you.
Ha! But you do not say that you did not love me.
I loved you with a frenzy that words are powerless to express. That was a brief 10 minutes since.
Exactly. Oh, Casilda, my own. Well, that is to say, 10 minutes since my own. Oh, my lately loved, my recently adored. Tell me that until, say, quarter of an hour ago, I was all in all to thee.
I see your idea. It's ingenious, but don't do it.
Oh, there can be no harm in meddling about.
Oh, none whatsoever. But an embrace cannot be taken to act retrospectively.
Well, perhaps not.
We may recollect an embrace. I recollect many. But we must not repeat them.
Then let us recollect a few. Ah, Casilda, you were to me as the sun is to thee.
And think, but for this miserable discovery, you would have been mine for life.
Oh, from life until death. A quarter of an hour ago.
How greedily my thirsty ears would have drunk the golden melody of those sweet words. A quarter? Well, no, it's about 20 minutes.
About that. In such matters one cannot be too precise.
And now our love so full of life is but a silent, solemn memory.
Oh, Casilda, must it be so?
Louis, it must be so.
There was a time forever gone. Oh, woe is me. It was no crime to love but me alone. Oh, woe is me. One love, one life, one soul. Oh,
who so thoughtfully abstracted our infant husband and brought him to Venice.
So, this is the little lady who is so unexpectedly called upon to assume the functions of royalty. And a very nice little lady, too.
Jimp, isn't she?
Distinctly a gym. Oh, allow me. Oh, naughty temper.
Oh, you must make some allowance. Her Majesty's head is a little turned by her sudden access to dignity.
I could have wished that Her Majesty's access of dignity had turned it in this direction.
Unfortunately, if I am not mistaken, there appears to be some little doubt as to His Majesty's whereabouts.
As doubt as to his whereabouts, that we may yet be saved.
Ah, doubt? Oh dear, no doubt at all. He is here, in Venice, plying the modest but picturesque calling of a gondolier. I can give you his address. I see him every day. In the entire annals of our history, there is no circumstance so entirely free of any manner of doubt of any kind whatever. Oh, listen, and I'll tell you all about it. I stole the prince and I brought him here and left him gaily prattling with a highly respectable gondolier who promised the royal babe to rear and teach him the trade of the time on him with his own beloved prattling. Both of the babes were strong and stout and considering all things clever. Of that there is no manner of doubt, no probable possible manner of doubt, no possible doubt whatever.
No possible doubt whatever.
But owing and much disposed to fit his terrible taste for tippling, that highly respectable gondolier could never declare with a mind sincere which of the two was his offspring dear and which the royal stripling. Which was which he could never make out, despite his best endeavour. Of that there is no manner of doubt, no probable possible shadow of doubt, no possible doubt whatever.
No possible doubt whatever.
Time sped, and when at the end of the year I sought that infant cherished, that highly respectable gondolier was lying a corpse on his humble bier, I dropped a grand inquisitor's tear. That gondolier had perished, a taste for drink combined with gout had doubled him up forever. Of that there is no manner of doubt, no probable possible shadow of doubt, no possible doubt whatever.
No possible doubt whatever.
The children followed his old career, his statement can't be parried. Of a highly respectable gondolier, well, one of the two who will soon be here. But which of the two it is not quite clear is the royal prince you married. Search in and out and round about, and you'll discover never a tale so free from every doubt, or probable possible shadow of doubt, or possible doubt whatever.
A tale so free from every doubt, or probable possible shadow of doubt, or possible doubt whatever.
Is the mother of the musical young man who is such a past master of this delicately modulated instrument. She can no doubt establish the king's identity beyond all question.
Heavens, how could he possibly know about that?
My good friend, a Grand Inquisitor is always up to date. She is, at present, the wife of an old-established and highly regarded brigand who carries on an extensive practice in the mountains around Cordoba. Accompanied by two of my emissaries, he will head off for his month's address at once. She will return with them, and should she find any difficulty in making up her mind, well, the persuasive influence of the torture chamber will jog her memory. separations frequently occur. Life is one closely complicated tangle. Death is the only true unraveler.
Try life on, we can never stay alone, life's tangled state. Why should we in vain endeavor guess and guess and guess again?
I'm so good of plums.
Curse a canker, nothing
What's a bachelor? A mere nothing. He's a chrysalis. He can't be said to live, he exists.
What a delightful institution marriage is. Why have we wasted all this time? Why didn't we marry 10 years ago?
Because you couldn't find anybody nice enough. Because you were waiting for us.
I suppose that was the reason. We were waiting for you without knowing it. Hello.
Good morning. If this gentleman is an undertaker, it's a bad omen.
Ceremony of some sort going on?
He is an undertaker. No, a little unimportant family gathering. Nothing in your line.
Somebody's birthday, I suppose.
Yes, mine. And mine.
Mine? And mine?
Curious coincidence. And how old may you all be?
It's a rude question. But about 10 minutes.
Remarkably fine children. But surely you are jesting.
I mean, we were married about 10 minutes in.
What? You don't mean to say that you are married?
Oh yes, we are married.
What? What, both of you?
All four of us.
Oh dear, this is very awkward.
You don't mind, I suppose. You were not thinking of either one of us for yourself, were you? Oh, Giuseppe! Look at his face! He was! Oh, he's heartbroken.
No, I wasn't.
Now, my man, we don't want anything in your line today, so if your curiosity is satisfied, you can go.
You mustn't call me your man. It's a liberty. I don't think you know who I am.
What, we indeed. We are jolly Gondoliers, the sons of Battisto Palmieri, who led the last revolution. Republicans, heart and soul. We hold all men to be equal. As we abhor oppression, we abhor kings. As we despise vain glory, we despise rank. As we detest effeminacy, we detest wealth. We are Venetian Gondoliers, your equals in everything except our calling, and in that at once your masters and your servants.
Dear me, how unfortunate. One of you may be Battisto's son for anything I know to the contrary, but the other is known as a personage and the only son of the late king of Barataria.
What?
And I trust it was that one who slapped me on the shoulder and called me his man.
Well, who would have thought it?
But which is it?
And what does it matter? As you are both Republicans and hold kings in detestation, naturally you will abdicate at once. Good morning.
Oh, who did that?
Well, as to that, of course, there are kings and there are kings. When I say I detest kings, I mean I detest bad kings.
I see. It's a delicate distinction.
Quite so. Now, I can conceive an ideal king, you know, the creature of my fancy, who'd be absolutely unobjectionable. A king, for instance, who would abolish taxes and make everything cheap, except gondolas.
And give a great many free entertainments to the gondoliers.
And there's some fireworks on the Grand Canal, and engage all the gondolas for the occasion.
And scramble money on the Rialto among the gondoliers.
Such a king would be a blessing to his people, and if I were a king, that's the kind of king I would be.
And so would I.
Come. I'm glad to see that your objections are not insuperable.
Oh, they're not insuperable.
No, they're not insuperable.
Besides, we are open to conviction.
Yes, they are open to conviction. Oh, they've often been convicted.
Our views may have been hastily formed on insufficient grounds. They may be crude, ill-digested, erroneous. I have a poor opinion of the politician who is not open to conviction.
He's a fine fellow. Yes, that's the sort of politician for my money.
Then we'll consider it settled. Now, as the country is in a state of insurrection, apparently they were trying to leave the European Union. It is absolutely essential that you should take up the reins of government at once. And until it is ascertained which of you is to be king, I have arranged that you will reign jointly, so that no question can arise hereafter as to the validity of any of your acts.
As one individual.
As one individual.
Like this.
Something like that.
And we may take our friends with us and give them places about the court.
Oh, undoubtedly. That's what they do at Eton.
Then I'm convinced.
So am I.
Then the sooner we're off, the better. We'll just run home and pack a few things.
Stop! Oh, stop! That won't do at all. Ladies are not admitted.
What?
Not admitted. Not at present. Later, perhaps. We'll see.
Why, you don't mean to say that you're going to separate us from our wives?
Oh dear, this is very awkward. Only for a time. A few months, perhaps, after all. After all, what is a few months?
But we've only been married half an hour. Kind sir, you cannot have the water like to pour from those to whom an hour ago we were united. Before a flowing cup you step on or can and pause before you till this moment united. You men can never understand that heart and tongue cannot be separated when we are yearning. You see from the women's eyes to wider eyes and from the women's hands. Oh, they who said you were married. Oh, me, you men will never understand that woman's heart is one with woman's hand. Some kind of charm you seem to find in womankind, some source of unexplained delight, unless you're jesting. But what attracts you, I confess, I cannot guess. To me, that woman's face is quite uninteresting. If from my sister I were torn wrong, I should no doubt be horrified, but I would bear it. But what was quite another thing, he is my king, he has my heart unknown. Beside, shall ever share it. Oh, me, you men will never understand that woman's heart is one with woman's hand.
Do not give way to this uncalled for grief. Your separation will be very brief. To ascertain which is the king and which the other. To Baratarius court and bring his foster mother. Her former nursling declared she'll be delighted. That settled, let each happy pair be reunited.
Viva! His argument is strong. Viva! Will not be parted long. Viva! It will be settled soon. Viva! Then comes our honeymoon. Viva! Viva! Viva!
And one of us will be a queen and sit on a throne, with a crown instead of a hat on her head and diamonds on her own. With a beautiful robe and golden green, I have always understood. I wonder whether she'd wear a feather. I'd rather think she should.
Oh, 'tis glorious thing I mean to be a regular royal queen. No half and half affair, I mean no half and half affair. But a right down regular royal queen.
She'll drive about in a carriage and pair with the king on her left-hand side, and a milk-white horse as a matter of course whenever she wants to ride, with beautiful silver shoes to wear upon her dainty feet, with endless stocks of beautiful frocks, and as much as she wants to beat.
Oh, 'tis glorious thing I mean to be a regular royal queen. No half and half affair, I mean no half and half affair. But right down regular royal queen.
Whenever she condescends to walk, be sure she'll shine at
whatever she likes to do, and everybody will roundly vow she's fair as flowers in May, and say how clever, and whatsoever she condescends to say.
Oh, 'tis glorious thing I be to be a regular royal queen. No up and bed, I mean no up and bed, but a regular royal queen. Oh, 'tis a glorious thing I be to be a regular royal queen. From regular royal But
good feeling.
We heard you.
We are delighted at any time to fall in with sentiments so charmingly expressed.
That's all right.
At the same time, there is just one little grievance we should like to ventilate.
What?
Don't be loud. It's nothing serious. Until it is deduced which of us is the actual king, we are to act as one person.
Exactly.
Now, although we act as one person, we are, in point of fact, two persons.
Oh, I don't think we can go into that. It is a legal fiction, and legal fictions are solemn things. Situated as we are, we can't recognize two independent responsibilities.
No, quite right. But perhaps you can recognize two independent appetites. It's all very well saying we act as one person, but when you supply us with one ration between the two of us, I should call it a legal fiction carried a little too far.
It is rather a nice point. I don't like to express an opinion offhand. Suppose we reserve it for argument before the full court.
Yes, but what are we to do in the meantime?
We want our tea!
I suppose we may make an interim order for double rations, on the usual undertaking that their majesties indemnify in the event of an adverse decision. That, I think, will settle it. But you must work hard. Stick to it. There's nothing like work.
Oh, we can quite understand. The man who holds the magnificent position of king should do something to justify it. We are called Your Majesty. Our subjects frequently note to us in the street. We're allowed to buy ourselves magnificent clothes. The sentries always return our salutes, and we hold the inestimable privilege of heading the subscription list to all the principal charities. Yes, the least the king can do is make himself useful about the palace. Rising early in the morning, we begin to light our fire. Then our majesty adorning in its work-a-day attire, we embark without delay on the duties of the day. First we polish off some batches of political dispatches and foreign politicians circumvent. Then if business isn't heavy, we may hold a royal levy or ratify some acts of parliament. Then we probably review our household troops with the usual shallow hopes and shallow hopes, or receive with ceremonial and state an interesting Eastern potentate. After that we generally go and dress up private party. It's rather nervous, pretty, he's a touchy little man. Write some letters literary for our private secretary. He is shaky in his spelling, so we help him if we can. Then in view of cravings dinner, we go down and on a dinner. Then we polish the regalia and the coronation plate. Spend an hour in titivating all our gentlemen and waiting whilst we run on little errands for the ministers of state. Oh, philosophers may sing of the troubles of a king, but the duties are delightful and the privilege is great. But the privilege and pleasure that we treasure beyond measure is to run on little errands for the ministers of state.
Oh, philosophers may sing of the troubles of the king, but the duties are delightful and the privilege is great. And the privilege and pleasure that we treasure beyond measure is to run on little errands for the ministers of state.
After luncheon, making merry on a bun and glass of sherry, if we've nothing in particular to do, we may make a proclamation or receive a deputation and possibly create a peer or two. Then we have a fellow creature on his path, with a counter or a pistol on a bath. Then we dress and total up in semi-state, to a festival, a function, or a fete. After that we go and stand the sentry at the palace entry, marching thither, up and down and to and fro, while the warrior on duty goes in search of being and beauty, and it generally happens that he hasn't far to go. He relieves us if he's able just in time to lay the table. Then we dine and serve the coffee, and at 12:30 or 1. With a pleasure that's emphatic, we retire to our attic with a gratifying feeling that our duty has been done. Oh, philosophers sing of the troubles of a king. But of pleasures there are many, and of worries there are none. But the culminating pleasure that we treasure beyond measure is the gratifying feeling that our duty has been done.
Oh, philosophers may sing of the troubles of the king, but the pleasures there are many, and the worries there are none. And the culminating pleasure that we treasure beyond measure is the gratifying feeling that our duty has been done.
Yes, it really is such a pleasant existence. They're all so kind and considerate. You don't see them wanting to do this or do that, or saying, it's my turn now. No, they let us have all the fun and never seem to grudge it.
It makes one feel quite selfish. It almost seems like taking advantage of their good nature.
Yes, and how kind they were about those double rations.
Most considerate. Ah, there's only one thing wanting to make us thoroughly comfortable.
And that is?
The dear little wives we left behind us 3 months ago.
Yes, it is dull without female society. We could do without everything else, but we can't do without that.
And if we have that imperfection, we have everything. There is only one recipe for perfect happiness. Take a pair of sparkling eyes in a never and anon, in a mercy for your dreams. Do not heed their mild surprise, having passed the Rubicon. Take a pair of rosy lips. Take a figure trimly plump, just as admiration wets. Be not eager in this. Take a tender little hand, fringed with dainty fingerets. Press it, in parentheses. Take of these, you lucky man. Take and keep them if you can. If you can, take of these, you lucky man. Take and keep them if you can. If you can. Take a pretty little coat, quite a miniature affair, hung about with trellis fine. Furnish it upon the spot with the treasures rich and rare I endeavor to define. Live to love and love to live, you will ripen at your ease, growing on the sunny side. Fate has nothing more to give, you're a dainty man to please. If you're not satisfied, not satisfied. Take my counsel, happy man, act upon it if you can, if you can. Take my counsel, happy man, act upon it if you can, if you can. Take my counsel, happy man, act upon it if you can, if you can, if you can. Act upon it, happy man, if you can, if you can. delightful surprise.
Yes, we thought you'd like it. You see, it went like this. After you left, oh, we were so dull and mopey, and the days just crawled by, and you never wrote. Until I said to Gianetta, I can't stand this anymore. Those two poor monarchs have got nobody to sew their stockings or put on any buttons or patch their clothes. Or at least I hope they haven't. Let's pack up a change and see how they're getting on. So she said done, and then they all said done, and then we went to see old Giacomo to lend us a boat, and then he said done, and then we crossed the ocean, and oh, well, thank goodness that's done. And now here we are, and oh, well, I'm done.
And now, which one of you is king?
And which one of us is a queen?
That we shan't know until Nurse turns up. But never mind that. The important question is, how shall we celebrate the commencement of our honeymoon? Gentlemen, will you allow us to host a magnificent banquet? Yeah. Thanks very much. And, ladies, what say you to a dance?
A banquet and a dance. Oh, this is too much happiness.
Yes, that's the Lord High Footman.
And dear me, a common little drummer boy.
Oh dear, no, that's the Lord High Drummer Boy.
But surely the servants' hall is the place for these gentry.
Oh no, we have appropriated the servants' hall. It's now the royal apartment, and accessible only by tickets obtained at the Lord Chamberlain's office.
We really must have some place that we can call our own.
I'm afraid I'm not quite equal to the intellectual pressure of this conversation.
You see, the monarchy is being remodeled on Republican values.
What?
All departments rank equally, and everybody is at the head of his department.
I see.
I'm afraid you're annoyed.
No, I won't say that. It's not quite what I was expecting.
I'm awfully sorry.
So am I.
By the by, can I offer you anything after your voyage? A plate of macaroni and a rusk?
No, nothing.
I'd like to be careful.
Yes. Gap. High Chancellor play leapfrog with his own cook?
Oh, why not?
Why not? Because a Lord High Chancellor is a personage of great dignity who should never, under any circumstances, allow himself to be placed in the position of being told to tuck in his tuppenny, except by noblemen of his own rank. A Lord High Archbishop or a Chancellor may, for example, be told to tuck in his tuppenny by a Lord High Archbishop, say, but certainly not by a cook, gentlemen. Certainly not a cook.
What about a Lord High Cook?
My good man, that is not a rank that is recognized in the Lord Chamberlain's office. Oh, no, this won't do. Let me give you an instance in which the experiment was tried. There lived a king, as I've been told, in the wonder working days of old, when hearts were twice as good as gold, and 20 times as mellow. Good temper triumphed in his face, and in his heart he found a place for all the erring human race, and every wretched fellow. When he had Rhenish wine to drink, it made him very sad to think that some at junket or at gin must be content with tawny. With tawny. He wished all men as rich as he, and he was rich as rich could be. So to the top of every tree, promoted everybody.
Now that's the kind of king for me, wish all men as rich as he. So to the top of every tree, promoted everybody.
Lord Chancellors were cheap as sprats, and bishops in their sharp hats were plentiful as tabby cats, in point of fact to many. Ambassadors cropped up like hay, prime ministers and such as they grew like asparagus in May, and dukes were 3 a penny. On every side fields marshals stood, small beer were lords kept 10 feet, with admirals the oceans teemed around his white dominions. And party leaders you might meet in 2s and 3s in every street, maintaining with no mental heat their various opinions.
Now that's a sight you couldn't be, 2 party leaders in each street, maintaining with no little heat their various opinions.
That king, although no one denies, his heart was of abnormal size, yet he'd have acted otherwise if he had been a cuter. The end is easily foretold when every blessed thing you hold is made of silver or of gold. You long for simple pewter when you have nothing else to wear but cloth of gold and satin thread. For cloth of gold you cease to care. Up goes the price of shoddy.
Of shoddy, the price of shoddy.
In short, whoever you may be, to this conclusion you'll agree. When everyone is somebody, then no one's anybody.
Now that's as plain as plain can be, to this conclusion we'll agree. When everyone is somebody, then no one's anybody.
And now I have some important news to communicate. His Grace the Duke of Plaza Toro, Her Grace the Duchess, and their beautiful daughter Casilda. I say their beautiful daughter Casilda.
We heard you.
Have arrived in Barataria and will be here at any moment.
The Duke and Duchess are nothing to us.
Ah, but the daughter, oh, the beautiful daughter. You're a lucky dog, one of you.
And I think you're a very incomprehensible old gentleman.
Not a bit. I'll explain. Now, many years ago, when you, whichever you are, were a baby, that beautiful young lady will be here to claim you, whichever you are, in half an hour, and I congratulate that one, or whichever it is, with all my heart.
Married for a baby?
But we were married 3 months ago.
Only one of you, only one. The other, whichever it is an unintentional bigamist.
Well, upon my word,
Who are these young people?
who are we? Why, their wives, of course.
Oh dear.
We just arrived.
Oh dear. This complicates matters, oh dear. What will Her Majesty say?
And do you mean to say that one of these monarchs was already married? And that neither of us will be a queen?
That is the idea I intended to convey.
Tessa, my dear, dear child.
Oh, get away! Perhaps it's you.
My poor, poor little woman.
Don't! Who knows whose husband you are? And pray, why didn't you tell us about this before they left Venice?
Because if I had, no earthly temptation would have induced these young gentlemen to leave two such extremely fascinating and utterly irresistible young ladies.
Well, there's something in that.
I may tell you will not be kept long in suspense, for the old lady who nursed the royal child is at present in the torture chamber waiting for me to interview her.
Oh, poor old bird. Hadn't you best go and put her out of her suspense?
Oh no, it's quite all right. It's quite all right. I've given her all my back copies of OK magazine. But I will go and interrogate her. And in the meantime, may I suggest the absolute propriety of your regarding yourselves as single young ladies. Good evening.
Well, here's a pleasant state of things.
Delightful. One of us is married to one young lady, and nobody knows which, and the other is married to two young ladies whom nobody can identify.
And one of us is married to one of you, and the other is married to nobody.
But which one of us is married to which one of you? And what's to become of the other?
It's all very simple. Observe. 2 husbands have managed to acquire 3 wives. 3 wives, 2 husbands. That's 2/3 of a husband to each wife.
Oh, Mount Vesuvius! Here we are in arithmetic! My good sir, one can't marry a vulgar fraction!
You've no right to call me a vulgar fraction.
And we are getting rather mixed. The situation is entangled. Let's try to comb it out.
In a contemplative fashion, and a tranquil frame of mind, free from every kind of passion, some solution let us find. Let us grasp the situation, solve the complicated plot. Quiet, calm deliberation, disentangles every knot.
I've no doubt Giuseppe wedding backs of course a slice of luck. He is rather dunderheaded, still distinctly he's a duck.
I have picked two of Cupid, one got married, that is clear. He's particularly stupid, still distinctly he's a dear.
Would better I was meeting, I can prove it in a trice. Though her charms are overrated, still I own she's rather nice.
I to Tessa willy-nilly all at once her victim fell. She is what is called a silly, still she answers pretty well. She's a silly, still she answers pretty well.
Now when we were pretty babies, someone married us, that's clear.
And if I can picture an insurance function and send him away with a flea
Oh, not young lady married to receive, I can't refuse.
If I were to make her warrant, I'll make her to shake in her aristocratical shoes.
He married to Giuseppe, who and he would love to hold.
If I'm to do it, I'll warrant she'll ruin it. I'll teach her to marry the man of my heart. If she married as some mark or a spinster,
No matter, we're finding it out
attention touches heart of duke.
And heart of duchess, always I have
With profound regret.
She of beauty was a mortal.
When a tiny tittle toddle, and at 20 must,
She's excelled by none.
at 20 must,
She's excelled by none. At 20
she's excelled by Be good enough to inform His Majesty that His Grace, the Duke of Plaza Toro Limited, has arrived and begs,
Desires.
demands.
and demands an audience. And now, my love, be prepared to receive the husband to whom you were united under such romantic and interesting circumstances.
But which is it? There are two of them.
It is true that at present His Majesty is a double gentleman, but as soon as the circumstances of his marriage are ascertained, he will ipso facto become a single gentleman, thus becoming an example, a unique example of an individual who becomes a single man and a married man by the same operation.
I have known instances in which the characteristics of both conditions existed concurrently in the same individual.
It couldn't have been a Plaza Torre.
Oh, couldn't he though?
Well, whatever happens, I shall of course be a dutiful wife, but I will never love my husband.
Oh, I don't know. It's extraordinary what unprepossessing people one can love if one gives one's mind to it.
I loved your father.
Mine? No. That remark is a little hard, I think. Rather cruel, perhaps somewhat uncalled for, I venture to believe.
It was very difficult, my dear. But I said to myself, that man is a duke, and I will love him. Several of my relations bet me I couldn't, but I did, desperately. On the day when I was wed to your admirable star, I acknowledged that I dreaded an explosion of his love. I was overcome with panic, for his temper was volcanic, and I didn't dare report, for I feared a wonder wrought. I was always very wary,
Congenial employment of our attempts, we offer you examples illustrative. The work is light, and I may add, it's most remunerative. Small titles and orders from mayors and recorders I get, and they're highly delighted.
They're highly delighted.
MPs baroneted, Jean Colonels gazetted, and second-rate aldermen knighted.
Yes, aldermen knighted.
Foundations so lame, I find very plain, it adds a large sum to my makings.
Not some to his makings.
At charity dinners, the best of speech spinners, I get 10% on the takings.
1/10 of the takings. I present a lady who's called a shady, smacking of doubtful propriety.
Doubtful propriety.
When Bertrand Gosher, I take and don't wash her, I'm going to first-rate society.
First-rate society.
I'll recommend makers of clumsy dressmakers, the finishing touches.
They're finishing touches.
A solemn addition they pay for permission to say they make for the Duchess.
Those pressing prevailers, those ready-made tailors, wrote me as a great double barrel.
A great double barrel.
I allow them to do so. They're Robinson Crusoe with chip, and they're wearing apparel.
Such wearing apparel.
I sit by selection upon the direction of several companies' marble.
All companies marvel.
As soon as they're floated, I'm freely banknoted. I'm pretty well paid for my trouble.
He's paid for his trouble. At mid-cost party, I played a party, and I'm by no means a beginner.
She's not a beginner.
To warn my station of remuneration, I need is a night and my dear.
And wine with her dinner.
I just patent on medicine's patent, and usually all they can
Believe me, you mustn't.
and for my complexion derives perfection from somebody's it does.
It certainly doesn't. We're ready as witness to anyone's fitness to fill any place of preferment.
Place of preferment. We're awfully waiting at junket of dating, and sometimes a tender interment.
We enjoy an interment. Enjoy the kindle of harvest. You seem to change your consciousness, your blushes.
Oh, good, we can better.
You cannot do better.
Gentlemen, I am the most obedient servant of one of you, of Louis.
I am about to address the gentleman whom my daughter married. The other gentleman may allow his attention to wander if he likes, for what I am about to say does not concern him. Sir, you will find in this young lady a combination of excellencies that you would search for in vain in any young lady who had not the good fortune to be my daughter. There seems to be some doubt as to which of you gentlemen I am addressing and which is the gentleman who is allowing his attention to wander. But as soon as that doubt is resolved, I shall say to the gentleman who's paying attention, take her, and may she make you happier than her mother has made me. If possible. And now there is a little matter to which I think I am entitled to take exception. I come here in state with Her Grace the Duchess and my daughter, Her Majesty. And what do I find? Do I find a guard of honor to receive me? No.
No.
The town illuminated? No.
No.
Refreshment provided? No.
No.
A royal salute fired? No.
No.
Grimes and arches erected? No.
No.
The bells set ringing?
No.
Yes. One. The visitors, and I rang it myself. It's not good enough. It's not good enough.
Upon my honour, I'm awfully sorry, but I was brought up in a gondola. My ideas of politeness are taking my cap off to people when they tip me.
That's all very well in its way, but it is not enough.
Well, take anything else off in reason.
But a royal salute to my daughter. I mean, it costs so little.
Papa, I don't want a salute.
My dear sir, once we know which of us is allowed to take that liberty, she can have as many salutes as she likes.
As for guards of honor and triumphal arches, you don't know our people. They wouldn't stand it.
They're very offhand with us, very offhand indeed.
No, but you mustn't allow that. You must keep them in proper discipline. You must impress upon your court your importance. You want manner, carriage, manner, dignity. There must be a great deal of this sort of thing. And just perhaps a little of this sort of thing. Hello. And what do you do? And perhaps just a soupçon.
What's on?
Soupçon of this sort of thing. Oh, it's very useful and most impressive. Look, allow me. You are a king. I am a subject. Very good. I am a courtier, grave and serious, who is about to kiss your hand. Try to combine opposing periods with a demeanor nobly planned. Let us combine opposing periods with a demeanor nobly planned. That's if anything too unbending, too aggressively stiff and grand. Now to the other extreme you're tending. Don't be so deucedly condescending.
To the other extreme you're tending. Don't
how we're situated. It's not fair to the girl.
Then, why don't you do it?
I'd rather not. You.
Madam, that is we.
Gentlemen, I am bound to listen to you, but I feel it is only right to tell you that, not knowing that I was married in infancy, I have fallen head and ears in love with somebody else.
Oh, our case exactly. We are head and ears over in love with somebody else too. In point of fact, our wives.
Your wives? Then you are married.
That's not our fault. We knew nothing about it. We are sisters in misfortune.
Good girls, I don't blame you. Only we really must arrive at some satisfactory conclusion, or we're going to get hopelessly complicated. Here is a case unprecedented. Here a king and queen of love. Ever since marriage was first invented, never was
each other contradicting, to those whom we adore, we can be reunited. On one point rather sore, but on the whole delighted.
When others claim thy date, and I waiting,
As